All right, welcome everyone to Webinar Wednesday. Last Webinar Wednesday we covered global instructions and instructional view. Today, Tracy, our Client Success Manager here, will be covering Google Analytics. If you missed the last Webinar Wednesday or want to review any others, please go to youtube.com/MobileSmith to view all of our Webinar Wednesday content. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass it off to Tracy to walk you through Google Analytics and how to implement it in our platform.
Thanks, Anthony. So, hi everybody. Welcome to Webinar Wednesday. We're going to talk about Google Analytics today. I'm going to start you off by showing you what you need to do to create a Google Analytics key and get it put into an app in the platform. And then I will go quickly over some of the Google Analytics that you can see once you log into your dashboard and you have the app live and going. So as you can see on the screen here, I've got an app. It's called Carolina Chaos. It's an app we created for a local volleyball club. On your app stores, you click on App Stores and go to App Settings. This is where you will be able to enable analytics. So you can do this when you're creating the app up front or on the back end. So here I'm going to click on Analytics Enabled, like that, and I click Apply. Once that's saved, I go back into my app block. You'll see now I have an app block called Analytics and Tracking. I have Configuration Key, and you'll see here that it is disabled. So what I want to do is enable that. I have a drop-down. I can choose Google or Flurry. We integrate with both of those. Today we are talking about Google Analytics. This is the option that the majority of our clients use. Once you've created an account to get your developer Android account, it's really simple to create an analytics account from there. So that's why most of the people use that. So I'm going to select Google, and you'll see I have an analytics key for Android, iPhone, and iPad. I have the option here. I could enter in a separate key for all three of those, and I'd see 3 different reports for my app. But to make it easy on myself, I want to include just one key for all of those, and the Google Analytics will actually break that down for you, which I'll show you in just a few minutes. So in order to create an analytics key, I go log into my Google Analytics page. I enter in my password, and I click Sign In. And once I've signed in, taking just a moment, this is my home page here that you'll see. We have quite a number of different apps here that we have used across the, since we started this. You're limited to 100 apps or 100 keys in your account. So I'm going to first create my account. In order to do that, I go to the admin page and I select my account here. You'll see this mimics all the other ones that I have on the main page, and I have Create New Account here. And as you can tell, right next to it, it says I'm using 18 out of 100. So I'm going to create a new account. Now you can use your analytics key for your web page traffic or for your mobile apps. Website is the default, so I'm going to select mobile app here, and you'll see that a couple of things have changed. I'm entering my account name, and then my app name. And in this instance, they happen to be the same. I need to select an industry. There's lots of different options here. This is a volleyball app, so I'm going to go select sports. And then my reporting time zone. So you can set this time zone to be wherever your time zone you would like. I'm going to change mine to Eastern. There's some recommended options here. I typically just leave all those recommended options alone and leave them as they are. And then I click Get Tracking ID. So it brings up the terms and conditions, and I accept those terms and conditions. This is the success. And I scroll to the top, you'll see here, this is my tracking ID. All right. Very simple here for me to copy that. I go back over to my MobileSmith app, and I'm just going to paste that ID into all 3 of those. And then I'm going to click Apply. It's saved. So now I've got a build that I have in these users' hands that don't have analytics. I send them a new build. It's going to start tracking the analytics. So if you set this up in your account before you have your final build for distribution, your analytics will show all your test data as well. So that's one of those things that if you would like to wait and only see live production data in your analytics, wait to put this in after you've gone through all your testing as the last step before you're publishing this to the stores. So now, when I go back to my analytics and I go to my home screen, you'll see, let's see, do I need to do a refresh? Oh, it was alphabetical. I just scrolled to the bottom. Here's my Carolina K-out. So here's my all mobile app data. There's nothing in here. I don't have an app that has been sent out to anybody to get that new bill. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you a Health Keeper app. This is an app that we've done that has our health trackers, NPIs in it, which I think we covered in a different webinar. This is the default landing page that you see here. It has your users overview. You can see how many users you've had on a daily basis, the number of sessions, screen views, return users versus new users. And I'll go over some of this information for you quickly. But basically what you need to determine is what is a success going to look like for you. If you're creating an app that you expect people to use one time, yeah, they're coming to the hospital and need to learn how to get around to get all their procedures, you want to see a lot of new users. If you're creating an app that you want people to use every single day, a key metric for you is probably going to be a much higher number of returning users and users that use that app every day. And with the Google Analytics, we can drill down into that. So you'll just need to decide what those key metrics are for you to measure success for your app, and then you can start looking at those. On your upper left-hand corner here, you'll see dashboards. There's private and new. If you go to private, my dashboard, this is just the default dashboard that they have, and you can customize this however you would like. This is my new users, my number of sessions. It's broken down by where the sessions are held. My mobile devices here, what devices are being used most. My app duration versus screen sessions. Depending on the app, this is something that you may want to be very cognizant of. How long are your users using the app? That would be your duration. Depending on that app, you probably want to see that. You would love to see that in like a 2-minute mark where they're actively engaged in your app for 2 minutes at a time. How many screens per session are they seeing? You know, are they just coming to the main screen, excuse me, and exiting out, or are they visiting many screens, many pages in your mobile app and are actively engaged? You can see which screens they're actually going to. So track it. The home screen here, it has 39 views. The track it screen has 49 or 48. So that tells me that people are coming in and going back to that track it page quite a bit for this one. And they're using the Health Keeper pages, and the info screen and the health diary input are rather low. So that would also tell me those aren't really used in this application. So if I'm making a copy of this or wanting to use this MPI or a model of this for another client, you know, what do I need to do to make people use that health diary or go to the info screen more if that's something that's important to the client for what they want the end user to see. Goal completions, here I have 0. I have 0 goals set up for this app. You have the ability to set up different goals for your app. You know, I want to see 20% of the people come from the United States with 80% coming from outside the United States. Or I want to see that the people are using the app for 1.5 minutes at a time, or 25 screens per session. And so that's really customizable on what your goals are. With this app, we don't have any goals set up. It's just something we put out there to get the MPI out there and get people to use it so that our clients can see what that MPI is capable of and use it in their apps. Revenue, this app is not set up to generate any revenue. It does not cost any money. There's no in-ad advertising or pay per click. So we're going to see this as nothing. And it's always going to be 0 here. If you had pay-per-click advertising or in-app revenue, you would see that money listed here. This is just a default. I have the ability to set up a new dashboard and include whatever metrics I wanted to in there. I'm not going to do that today. I like the default dashboard and I like the overview screens that I can see. Intelligence events. This is an overview page. I don't have any intelligence events set up for this. If you have items that you want to be made aware of in your app, this is where you can set those up and it'll be very customizable. You can set up an intelligence event to show if an app reaches a certain threshold, whether it be users, sessions, length of sessions, or if it treads away from that threshold, you know, if it reduces from that. So if you set the benchmark as 20% of your users need to be from the United States and all of a sudden it drops to 18%, then you can set up to get an alert on that. So this is where you can set up those events. With your app overview here, this is just a generic overview of what your app is going to do. It's pretty similar to the default dashboard, but a little bit different. Here's your number of new users. So again, depending on what kind of app you have and what metrics you're looking for, this could be one of your key metrics that you want to see new users growing every day. Active users is another one. Here on March 3rd, I had 4 active users, but then on like February 27th, on the weekend, it looks like I don't really have a lot of users over the weekend. So I can use the days and the number of users to track, you know, when is my app being used, and learn about my users that way. The countries that it's being used will be listed here and highlighted. You can select the country. There is Russia. Over here is Taiwan. We have this app in the store, so it's available to anyone. So anyone in the world could download this app. Kind of fun to see what countries are using your app. You've got your top model devices. This is going to really help you determine if your end users are iOS or Android users. And it breaks it down by, in Android, the different types of phones that are being used. So you, so like in your testing, if in your test lab you have a phone and you see something random on it, but none of your users have that phone, it's probably not something to worry about. If you log in and you see that 80% of your users are using the HTC One, then you want to make sure that it's working really well and smoothly on that HTC One and the layout looks nice. So here's your user engagement. This is your session duration and the screens per session. This is a nice graph where you can overlay and see how many screens they're seeing in a short period of time each day. And this is probably one of those ones that's really going to show you your stickiness of your application. How long are they staying in your app and how many screens are they going to? And again, these are the screens that in our app that people are seeing the most. Then you can go to your audience overview here on your left. This is really just breaking it down a little bit more. With the Google Analytics, it really allows you to drill down into very specific items if you would want. And you can customize them. This is by the day. You can customize it by the week or the month. This shows users. You can show session duration, screens, percentage of new sessions. You've got some nice graphs to show the returning users and the new users. If I change this to sessions, my numbers are going to change to show me how many sessions were on each day and returning versus new users. So on March 3rd, I had 20 sessions, and it looks like still over this period of about a month, it's 80% of returning users versus almost, I guess it's 85% returning users, 14% new users. So that alone tells me that with the users, the number may be low, but it's a very sticky app, and they're going back to it quite a bit, which is great. I can drill down into the languages that are being used, the operating system. This is Android, iOS, and Windows. Windows is a little surprising to me. Here on my Android, as we saw on the screenshots of the different apps, I can see what version level that my users are using. So I see 4.4.2, 4.2.2, 5.0. and others. So I can see what people are doing, what their screen resolution are, and what kind of device over here that they're using. Let's see, there's a couple of different screenshots that here are in beta, lifetime value. This is something that you'll see if you're doing the revenue, how much is that user getting you, paying you over the lifetime. Again, with us, this is not something that's important. This is just the different app versions. If you've done a release, as you get an app out into the market, see the feedback, update the app to incorporate what your end users want to see. You'll be able to see as people are updating the versions, what they're doing with it. I don't know much about the cohort analysis here. It's still in beta. Typically, we don't really investigate what these analytics do while they're in beta because they are subject to change. One thing I wanted to show you down here on your behavior, your overview, this is the actual app behavior, what's going on, and it's just another view to see some of that same information. One thing that I really like under behavior is the behavior flow. So you can see here how people are navigating through your application, whether it be iOS or Android. What are they clicking on, and how are they getting there, and where do they go from there? I think this is really neat. It'll help you show how people are using your app. So if you see that people are never going to a certain area in your app, is it because it's hidden? Is it something that you need to do to bring it out and make it more prominent if it's something that's very important for you that you want your end users to see? So under behavior, behavior flow, that's a great look actually into your application. And then there's crashes and exceptions. This will show you if there's been any crashes, when those crashes are happening, or any kind of like exceptions that have happened with your application. So that if you're starting to get a lot of feedback saying, oh, that crashes all the time, you can come here, look at those and see when it's happening. Is something major going on? Is it when you're, I don't know, maybe doing maintenance to your network or something, you know, any kind of thing like that that helps you understand why it's crashing and if it's clustered around something. One last thing on the analytics that I wanted to show you. Up here you'll see, my mouse is just here, there we go, Analytics Help. This is the Google Analytics Help page. So if you're in your analytics and you're trying to understand what something means, or you want to set up, like let's say you want to set up a goal or one of the intelligence reports that I was talking about, you can come here and search for that topic, and it'll pull up step-by-step instructions for you to do that. We do have a paper on our knowledge base that sort of summarizes what you can get out of Google Analytics and how to set up the account ID that I just showed you. But rather than reinvent the wheel, I strongly recommend here you going here if you want to do the step-by-step process of how to set up or what exactly one thing means and kind of how to drill down into it. And Google has just done a really great job of providing us this information. So that is what I have to cover on Google Analytics today. Are there any questions?
Is the Google Analytics account the same as the Google Developer account? Or rather, do you use the same login?
Yes. So once you have your developer account, you can use that same login into the analytics page. And that's one of the reasons that we recommend using the Google Analytics is you've already created the account when you're getting your developer account set up. So it's not another account to set up. It's not another place to manage. It's all quickly together. All right, so a question just came in about the Apple Analytics. The question is that Apple has come out with their own set of analytics. how is that different or comparable to the Google Analytics? With the Apple Analytics, you get it automatically on your application. So you don't have to configure anything into our system. It's just something that Apple is going to give you about the user base using the Apple app. What is different here is that you're only going to see your Apple users. You don't have the ability to see with your Android users. So they may drill down some more into some stuff that the Google Analytics is not going to drill down into. It's free. It's not a bad thing to look at to give you some ideas. But Google Analytics is where you're going to be able to compare your iOS to your Android usage at the exact same time, the same kind of report. So you're not comparing apples to oranges. With the Google Analytics, you can see both of them. But again, it's not a bad idea to look at all the information you have available to you. Just note that that's just for iOS and not Android. So one of the questions came in is that somebody is using their Google Analytics and they'll see that they have more downloads reported in the Google Analytics than they do in the platform under push notifications. And just to show you why my mouse has disappeared. The push notifications on the platform show you that the number of people who have downloaded the app and have agreed to allow you to send them push notifications. So when you download the app, you're asked, do you want to receive notifications from this company? And you can say yes or no. If you say no, those people who have downloaded and said no, that number is not going to be reflected in the download numbers on the push notification page. So it's better to count your true downloads off the numbers that you see on Google Analytics. Okay? Okay, and I wanted to show you real quick. Here you'll see the Android and the iPhone numbers on the push notifications here. Those numbers will be different once I start getting analytics on the page itself. Any other questions? Okay. Then with that, I will thank you so much for joining us today. As always, you can, if you missed the slide, you can obviously see it on our webinar page as well as any other webinars you might have missed. And I'll turn it back over to Anthony.
All right, thank you everyone for joining our webinar Wednesday. Again, Tracy had just gone over all the Google Analytics and how you can implement it with our platform. Our next webinar Wednesday is on March 30th, and we'll be covering brainstorming ideas for a new app. And our UI and product specialist, Tony, will be running that. So please register for that. That's on March 30th. Thank you so much for joining us.